I'm going to read something to you. It ultimately speaks to the nature of some of the people that are around you. Ultimately speaks to the nature to some of the people that you know and love. You must come to resent those who will not fight for what is that is theirs. You must come to resent those that will lay down and die as opposed to standing up against wickedness. You must come to resent anyone who would in any way, shape, or form condone wickedness to further their own objective and agenda. To be stalwart and upright means that you make the hardest decisions in the most crucial of times. Your success is not the outcome of an event, it is the procession of actions that take place to the totality of whatever actually transpires. Do you understand what I mean? I am saying that the things that you do are more important than what it is that you seek to accomplish. Because whether or not you accomplish that, if you have done the things that would bring about this change, this happening, then you have done all that there is to do. Saying that, we're going to read something about a man named John Brown. Some of y'all know who this man is. He's one of that 2% that I like to talk about. John Brown, his title, Radical Abolitionist. Date of birth, he was born he died December 2, 1859. He was born in 1800. They don't really know. But we're going to read the small article about him, but it's very, 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 very impactful. And we're at battlefields.org, or the link will be in the video. Born in Torrington, Connecticut, John Brown belonged to a devout family with extreme anti-slavery views. He married twice and fathered 20 children. The expanding family moved with Brown throughout his travels, residing in Ohio, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and New York. Brown failed at several business ventures before declaring bankruptcy in 1842. Still, he was able to support the abolitionist cause by becoming a conductor on the Underground Railroad and by establishing the League of Gileadites, an organization established to help runaway slaves to help runaway slaves escape to Canada. In 1849, Brown moved to free black farming community of North Elba, New York. At the age of 55, Brown moved with his sons to Kansas Territory. In response to the sacking of Lawrence, Kansas, John Brown led a small band of men to Pottawatomie Creek on May 24, 1856. The men dragged 5 unarmed men and boys, believed to be slavery proponents, people who were for slavery, probably slave owners and the people who were the overseers and the like, from their homes and brutally murdered them. Afterwards, Brown raided Missouri, freeing 11 slaves and killing the slave owner. Following the events in Kansas, Brown spent 2.5 years traveling throughout New England, raising money to bring his anti-slavery war to the South. In 1859, John Brown, under the alias Isaac Smith, rented the Kennedy Farmhouse, 4 miles north of Harper's Ferry, Virginia, now West Virginia. At the farm, Brown trained his 21-man army and planned the capture of the federal arsenal at Harper's Ferry. Part of the plan included providing slaves in the area with weapons of pikes and rifles. Brown believed that these armed slaves would then join his army and free even more slaves as they fanned southward along the Appalachian Mountains. If the plan worked, it would strike terror in the hearts of slave owners. On October 16, 1859, John Brown and his men raided the federal arsenal. Unfortunately for Brown, nothing went as planned. Slaves living in the area did not join the raid. Local militia and the United States Marines under Robert E. Lee put down the raid, and most of John Brown's men were either killed or captured, including 2 of his sons. Ironically, The first man killed during the raid was Hayward Shepard, a free black man working with the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. Despite being seriously wounded, Brown was tried quickly and found guilty of murder, inciting slave insurrection and treason against the state of Virginia. Upon hearing his sentence, Brown said, this is in quotes, "If it is deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice, and mingle my blood further with the blood of my children, and with the blood of millions in this slave country, whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I submit. So let it be done." End quote. Brown told the court that he hoped to carry out his plans without the snapping of a gun on either side. But Brown's vision of ending slavery was marred by the deaths of innocent civilians, both in Kansas and at Harper's Ferry. The nation was divided over his actions. Many abolitionists called him a hero. Slaveholders called him a base villain. People on both sides of the fence denounced Brown's use of violence. Now we're going to come back to that in a moment. John Brown was hanged on December 2, 1859. Before he died, Brown issued these final, seemingly prophetic words in a note he handed to his jailer, Charlestown, Virginia, 2nd December 1859. "I, John Brown, am now certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away, but with blood. I had, as I now think, vainly flattered myself that without very much bloodshed it might be done. Within 1 year, the first Southern state would secede from the Union." Now let me go ahead and speak to something. There's a bunch of different stuff here. We could speak to all the different little things that I want to talk about, but the thing I'm going to talk about is this right here. It said, people on both sides of the fence denounced Brown's use of violence. Stop right there. See, these are white people on either side. And the reason why it says that those black people didn't get involved is probably because they got put down by the Marines and the freaking militias that came there. So I don't think that they just did not get involved. Some of them are probably cowards, for sure. But I'm thinking a lot of them just got snatched the fuck up. However, I wasn't there. Purely speculation. I like to give people a little more credit than take it away from them because I wasn't there. I don't have that issue, you see, because I'm so disconnected from just 10 years ago. If I wasn't, just yesterday, just today, if you're not there to see it, you're disconnected from it. That's so profound. And yet people believe that because they read a book of a so-called first-hand event that no one can verify, unless these are people who actually live the events. If this happened, this is what happened. Now, all the other things that we're reading in between are just the effort of the author of this article to mitigate the importance of what John Brown did, and to I don't know if they're really trying to highlight violence, but they're wrong, because people on both sides of the fence denounced Brown's use of violence, but Brown was right. Because guess what happened? The Civil War jumped the fuck off. And people can say whatever, man, about slave revolts, this, that, and the other. John Brown wasn't full white, but I'm going to go into that in my White Heaven expedition, my next one. That's going to be my next real, oh man, y'all going to love it. Y'all going to love it. Anyway. But this right here was for Mr. John Brown. I salute him. I hope you guys can understand that what he did was really stalwart and worthy to be spoke about. With that said, my people, I'm out.